Hi, it's Bobby from Figuring It Out, and today we're going to talk about some smart home skills and apps that has been really helpful in the parenthood, fatherhood journey. And to kick off, we are embedded in the Amazon ecosystem in this house, so we have quite a lot of Amazon devices around. Also make use of if this then that, as well as in terms of lighting we have Phillips Hue, and then for heating we have Tado. So quite a bit of smart home stuff around the place, but I do find them really helpful over the past couple of years. Right, with that said, let's jump straight into it. The first section I want to talk about has to do with tracking and keeping tabs on what's happening with your baby. It was something I was completely oblivious to be honest, till we went to the hospital and started asking how many times has she had a wee today, or how many times has she had a poo today, and how many times is she feeding a day, all these questions. So needed to find the easiest way to record these activities when they started happening. So I looked around and discovered an app called Baby Stats. Baby Stats is a free app that anybody can use. Why I really like it is, one, you can embed it into your smart home. So whether you use the Amazon stuff or Google Home or anything else, it will embed quite nicely into that. Two, you can also use it as a standalone app on your phone. So you can just download it on your phone and use it from there without the need for the smart home parts. Three, you can still use it on a computer anywhere you are, provided you have the ID, which I'll show you in a minute. So it's a very nice, well-rounded, versatile app that can help you track and record things as they go through. Now, when we got it, actually, and Amara had already arrived, but when I got it, what I also noticed that you can even record things such as how many times the baby has kicked during pregnancy. That's really cool. So with that said, let's jump in and see what Baby Stats look like. So that's the icon for Baby Stats. I'm gonna open it, and what you should see is a pretty nice interface where you can immediately see how many feeds you've had, how many wet nappies your baby has had, stools, pump if you're breast pumping, if you want to track sleep, how many times baby has kicked. You can add the weight and some additional notes. Now, in our home, we are not tracking pump and sleep, so we can remove some of these. I just wanted to leave it there to show you that. To quickly add things in, you can add plus feed, wet, stool, pump, sleep. So it's very easy to quickly add something in. What I do like as well is not only can you just add how many units, but you can also add how many minutes, or actually track the minutes straight away from here. So that's a quick overview of this interface. When you set this app, it also gives you an ID, which is that. And with this ID, you can then use Baby Stats on other devices, but still be able to connect to the same account. And that's really helpful. So, my partner has this on her phone. We have it on our tablet at home. Also, if you're using a computer and wanted to check something, we can do the same thing as well. On my interface, I don't want to see pump and sleep because we don't track that over here. So I'm going to remove these. So pump, I'm going to remove kick because baby has already arrived. I'm going to remove sleep as well. And with that, I'm just going to save. And that will now move it for me. So if I come to my home, this should now all be taken off. So that's much better for me. And it's very, very nice and smooth interface. So it's as quick as maybe I want to add a wet nappy. I click on wet, that would go down to 3. Now if I know I made a mistake, I can actually just click to expand and go remove that just by deleting it, and that's now gone through. In terms of how this connects with your smart home devices, you would have to download the Baby Stats skill. And once you've done that, you can just connect to it and start giving it commands straight away. So for example, I'm going to go ask Baby Stats to add dirty nappy.
Added stool. You now have 2 for the day.
Great. So that's how easy you can just command your smart home to do that for you. And it says I now have 2. So if I refresh this, I should now see that I have 2, and it tells me the second one was added 0 minutes ago, so you can actually track how long ago an activity happened. But I really like this as well, is at any given time you can just go through and track what is coming, and what activity has been going on throughout the day, and that's really helpful. So you can imagine now when you go to the hospital, you meet the midwife and they ask you questions, you're in a really good position to be able to answer these questions. And it's been really helpful for us to gauge on average how much she's eating, how much she's pooing, so on and so forth. If I go to settings, you would also notice you can also add multiple babies in. So if you have twins, maybe you have multiple young ones, you can do the same thing as well. And so not only just for parents, if you're a babysitter or something, this is something that is really helpful. So I highly recommend it. Plus it's free, so definitely worth a shot, and it makes our lives easier. Imagine if you were changing a diaper or a nappy, but you're still doing other stuff. You don't want to write anything down somewhere to go, so you just say, hey, I don't want to mention or wake up anybody's device to say add dirty nappy, and it'll add it for you. Add 100 ml feed, and it'll do that for you. Or maybe you're breastfeeding, so you just say start feeding timer, and then it will start. When you finish, you just say stop feeding timer, then it will stop. So it's a really, really, really fantastic app, and it's been super helpful for us. So definitely worth a shot. And of course, I'll add the link to this in the video description. The next section I wanted to talk about is sleep. Now, being able to put a baby to sleep is a skill. Sometimes you have to go above and beyond to really put them to bed. So one thing that I'm using smart home wise is something called sleep sounds. Sleep sounds is a skill that has so many calming sounds in it, and essentially you call which one you want and it will do that for you. So for example, there are things on sea waves, rainforest, a heartbeat, a massive industrial fan, and all these other things that you can get that will really help you and help the baby to stay calm. And that's one skill that I really like to use. Essentially, you just ask your Amazon device to say play rainforest sounds, and it'll play that throughout the night, and your baby will sleep. Sometimes it might stop in half an hour, so you might say loop that sound, and then it'll play out throughout the night. That way your baby can sleep. Another thing that I use is Spotify playlist and Amazon playlist, and on these platforms there are so many playlists of white noise, brown noise, baby lullabies, and calming sea waves. So all these sounds that will really help put your baby at ease and to sleep. And what I've done with my setup is I've built a routine, and so I have a routine called nap time, and if I do that or I play that, then essentially what it says, I say nap time, and first of all it will call my playlist on Amazon and it will play that playlist straight away till baby is asleep, and then after 2 hours it will just stop and go off. So these are things you can do within your smart home. With that said, let me show you what some of these look like. Okay, so I'm gonna open my smart home. So we're going to the Amazon setup. I'm going to go into skills just to show you what that looks like. And then in skills, you just search for, like I said, this sleep sounds. Okay, and when you search for sleep sounds, there are so many different versions. So you can see on my screen, we have sleep sounds for thunderstorms, you have seaside sounds, you have whale sounds, and you have campfire sounds. So you have so many of these, and when you're ready, essentially you just ask it to say, once you install it, so if I wanted rainforest sounds for example, I will go to and enable it. And once you enable it, all you have to do is say open rainforest sounds or open whale sounds or all that, and it will do that straight away for you. So it's really nice. So just to demo it, you quickly enable it. Okay, cool. So let's play. Ask sleep sounds to play rainforest sounds. So if you can hear that, I'm going to put the volume up a bit. So that, and it will play this pretty much throughout the night. So you can see how easy it is for this to happen. So that's a very quick demo of what sleep sounds is like. I'm going to stop it. Another skill that I use is something called Shush My Baby. Now when you're calming a baby down, one of the things you find yourself doing a lot is shh, shh. It works. But if you have a fussy baby, sometimes you could be doing that for a long time. So there is a skill on the Amazon devices called Shush My Baby. I'm not necessarily sure about ones on Google, so you might need to look into that for yourself. But Shush My Baby is one of my most used skills. Essentially what you do is you just tell it shush my baby, and then it will play that shush sound for a long time. So I'm gonna see and find it for you. So there you go. So Shush My Baby looks like this. Now once you open it, essentially like I say, you enable the skill and you just say shush my baby, and it will play and play and play, and when you've had enough you say stop or pause. What I've done from my setup is I've built it into a routine, so especially during the afternoon. So I'll show you what the routine looks like. Once I say it's soothing time, then it will essentially play the shush my baby, and you notice it says from the device you speak to, because you could be soothing the baby anywhere in the house. So unlike my nap time routine where I know it's in a room, soothing time is on any device wherever I am. So I could be in the kitchen, I could be in the living room, I could be upstairs. If I say soothing time, essentially it will just play that shh noise till I say stop. So to demo that, this is what it looks like. Soothing time. If you can hear it. Okay, so that's what the soothing time is like. And once again, it's a really cool way of using your smart home devices, because sometimes you just don't want to go shh for like all day. So just do this and then it'll do it for you. And right, so those are some of the skills I like to use in terms of sleep and calming baby down. The next section I wanted to touch on is to do with lighting. Now, lighting, I think most of the time we don't use it as much, but it's more during the nighttime or late nights when, Amara is waking up at silly o'clock, for a feed or needs to be changed or something. And sometimes when you're asleep with your partner, the last thing you want to do is the light to be so bright that, you then wake the other person up. And in our home, we used Phillips Hue. With that said, there are a few nice things about Philips Hue that you can do. So for example, you have a routine for nursing time, which means the lights are really dim but still bright enough that you can still interact with baby and do the changing and feeding, stuff like that. There are some nice inbuilt things within Philips Hue that you can say, using the Philips Hue motion sensor, if the temperature goes above, let's say 30 degrees for example, change the lights to red. And that will essentially immediately notify us that it's too warm and we need to either remove some of the clothes or make sure that she is comfortable. If it's too cold and temperature goes below a certain degrees, then change the lights to blue. And if you can do that, then it also means you stay abreast and you're in tune on what's going on all the time. These are quite nice features that I like. There's a feature called nursing or nursery lights within Philips Hue. So if you have Philips Hue, check out Hue Labs. They have a lot of nice skills that you can use that would really help you in what you are doing. Also, other things that you can use are things like if this then that, and it's essentially as it sounds. So if this happens, then do this. What if this and that gives you the ability is to embed other devices in the house to really play a part into it. So we have smart home heating and we use Tado, and I'll probably do a review on Tado another day. But one thing I really like with Tado is now I can say if the baby's room is 30 degrees, then turn the heating down to 19 or turn it to 20 or never go past 30. So even if the heating is on, it would actually switch the radiators off, and it wouldn't heat the room any further. Then when it goes below, it will kick up and get the room back to the optimum temperature that I want it to get to. Can then use the same title to say if humidity in this room is 69, for example, which is too high, turn on the dehumidifier. So then it will do that, and then it will suck the moisture out of the air to an optimum level. And these are all things that you need to play around, to get familiar with. But once you do, it's really, really helpful. And there's so many tutorials on YouTube now, and maybe one time I would also do one myself to show you how these things look like. But I thought they were a worthy mention, to know about that. So if this and that, definitely if you have anything smart home, it's worth a shot checking it out, and it's very easy to even create your own applet. Another thing that I do use in terms of sleep is something called Baby Sense You. Now, Sense You I first mentioned in my essentials list video. Hopefully a link will appear up there somewhere. Sense You is essentially a clip that you clip on the nappy or the baby grow or sleep suit, pretty much whatever the baby is wearing, onto their belly, and then it will essentially track 1, the temperature of the baby, and then 2, the way the baby is breathing, how many breaths per minute. What it then does is if you have so if the baby is not breathing as much as it needs to, then it will sound an alarm for you, and believe me, the alarm is loud, that you would wake up and check that baby up as well. Other things that it will do is tell you the temperature. So if the temperature is too low, then once again it will make enough noise that you can go and check and say, actually maybe put a blanket over the baby or remove some of the clothes because it's too warm. And so Sense You is one that I also highly recommend. The only thing I don't like about it is Bluetooth. So you have to be around the vicinity of the baby. In the US, you have something called Mom Baby, and Mom Baby has a Wi-Fi version as well as a Bluetooth version. Of course, the Wi-Fi version, you need to pay a bit more, but I think if I lived in the States, that is something that I might invest in myself. Of course, in today's day and age, a lot of baby monitors can also monitor breathing. Personally, I think I'm really happy with the Sense You, so I'm gonna stick with that for now. We'll talk about baby monitors later. Now, baby monitors in today's market, there are so many out there now, so many now that are smart too. If you see my essentials video, I was stuck between Nanit and Cubo AI. It came down to price for me, so I went for the Cubo and not the Nanit. I think I might buy it in the near future just to review it. Now, our Cubo AI today is not embedded into the smart home networks that we have. However, there is an upgrade of Cubo AI Plus coming through that will integrate with Amazon devices and Google Home devices too. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. That said, as long as you have a mobile phone or tablet, you should be able to, check out what's going on with your baby at any given time. And I really like that about Cubo, especially in these times of a pandemic where, grandparents are not coming over. It's very easy to give them a login on their own phones and tablets so they can just jump in and see how the baby's sleeping and what's going on as well. So I found that really, really helpful. Now, I think with some of these, baby monitors that will integrate with your smart home, sometimes you might need to have something like Echo Show to be able to actually visually see it on your Echo devices. But there's nothing stopping you from saying, switch on, baby monitor, or switch it off, increase the volume or put it on standby. And that's one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing what Cubo can do. As it stands today on the Cubo AI, you can put it on standby via your phone. You need to physically go and press and hold it for 5 seconds to do that. So I hope that is an upgrade that they'll be bringing in. I have mentioned it, to the Cubo guys, so I'm looking forward to what is going to come through. But baby monitor wise, like I mentioned, there are so many out there. So do your due diligence and check out, what is out there and what can integrate with your smart home if that is something you're really interested in. So far, my top two are Nanit and Cubo AI, and none of them has let me down. Now that I've seen other users use it, and they are all as complimentary about it, like everybody else. Okay, so let me mention some very noteworthy apps that I think are super helpful. So I've already mentioned Phillips Hue, which is the clip for monitoring babies' breathing and temperature while they are asleep. Another noteworthy app I wanted to mention is one from the Lullaby Trust. The Lullaby Trust are a charity in Britain that are, primarily sponsoring and helping people and babies especially avoid sudden infant death syndrome, which is SIDS for short. They've been done fantastic work over the last couple of years to really promote that and help parents, especially new ones such as myself, and advice on preventing SIDS, by any means necessary. Now, the Lullaby Trust have an app that's called Baby Check.
Unsure if your baby is ill? The Baby Check app helps you decide if your baby needs to see a doctor. The free app is quick and simple to use. Just answer a series of questions about your baby's signs and symptoms. Baby Check then provides a score letting you know if your baby is well, mildly ill, or in need of medical attention.
And it's really cool. So I'll try and do a demo on it, but it's a worthy app worth checking and having handy. Because as a new parent, sometimes you're not sure what's going on. So to have something that will walk and guide you through, well, you need a doctor or you don't need a doctor, is also very handy. Right. So that's it. That's a wrap on the smart home and where the apps mentioned. I hope you found this useful. Are you using any other devices or smart home in terms of helping you in the parenting journey? If so, I appreciate sharing that, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. As well, you can find me on Instagram at Figuring That Out. Till then, stay safe. Peace.